A family reunion. Calling a family reunion. What's going on, niece and nephew? How are you? How are you? How are you? Hello from your Auntie Koi. I am hoping you are doing well and everything is going well with you. I apologize for the audio quality if it sounds like I'm louder or sounds like I might just be in your ear on the phone. We are working on some equipments in the background, but y'all, I had to absolutely come to y'all today to say hello because I really realized, how long it's actually been since I made an episode, and I genuinely apologize. And of course, we're going to touch briefly on my absence today. I promise it won't be a lengthy conversation because we're getting right back into the swing of things. So trust and believe I do have an auntie report for you, a topic to talk about and discuss. And of course, I want to hear your feedback, but I ultimately want y'all to know that I thank y'all for supporting me, for staying around during this uncalled hiatus, unplanned hiatus. And, I look forward to being able to make some more episodes and have some more conversation and create more content for you guys. So let's just get on into it. Auntie, where have you been? What's been going on with you? So I'm not too sure if you guys were able to check out, and if you aren't following, you need to be following the Young Auntie podcast on Instagram. I started, I want to say maybe a week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago, of doing a What We Eat In. Basically, it's a little smack and chat that we do every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 1 p.m., which is during my lunch hour for work. And essentially, we just smack and chat and talk about things. Y'all tell me what you eat, and I let you know what I'm eating on, trying to get these sponsorships and promos. I'm trying to tell y'all too much money out here. So I'm trying to do that, but I ultimately love to do it because we get to kick back and honestly have a conversation about topics that may come across my interest or stuff I want to talk about that I don't get the chance to put in a podcast episode, or I don't want the episode to run too long. So those are those days, and it's Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 1 o'clock. It's a What We Eat and What We Smacking and Chatting on. And I'm excited if you join, and either way, I think I put them up. I'm pretty sure I saved them and I upload them. So you can go back and watch and see the conversation and what we talked about. And one of the most recent ones, I want to say it was about a week ago, was explaining my absence, and where I've been and what Auntie has been up to since the last episode that we made, which I checked was in April. So just to kind of give y'all just an overview of what I'm going to talk about. I don't know. I think I've said this before, but let me just make it clear for everyone that may have a question. I am a Christian. I am a believer of Christ. I do submit my life and myself to the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. And on May 22nd, I was baptized. I got my first water baptism as an adult, but my third baptism in my life. And at 26 years old, people that may not understand Christianity, or more so the spiritual walk and aspect that there is when it comes down to relationship with God, may question why at 26 years old did I decide to get baptized. And honestly, just like your relationship with Christ, your walk, your spiritual journey, it's all extremely personal. So I will say, just because I don't want to make it lengthy and I don't want to talk over my words or make a redundant point, for me, baptism was extremely personal. I feel like I'm reaching a point in my life where my relationship with God is top priority to me. And his communication with me and guidance of me, and me knowing for a fact that he is guiding me, is extremely important. And the week of my baptism, honestly, y'all, I was met with so much spiritual warfare. I'm going to say not even the week before, I was met with a lot of spiritual warfare, a lot of internalization, a lot of things I didn't understand, a lot of confusion, a lot of feeling of being lost, feeling overwhelmed, not sure about anything, questioning everything. And even in preparation of just getting in the right posture, what I thought was to be in the right posture to make the decision. I put a lot of thought and a lot of extra pressure on myself of what is expected of me after baptism, before baptism, and it's no expectations that God has. You know what I mean? Like, God is not, he He doesn't want us to be perfect because we can never be perfect. And, scripture says that he who starts a good work in you will complete that work and won't be finished until the day of Jesus Christ's return. If I'm not mistaken, that's Philippians 1:6. And so, I'm not supposed to be perfect. God isn't asking any of us to be perfect. He's not expecting us to be perfect. Literally, scripture says, and he is a God that I can attest and testify, come as you are. If anybody, and this is what I talked about in one of our smacking chats, and I'll kind of just leave it off on this, if anybody ever has any question or curiosity about God, even the smallest inkling in your inner self, to find out who he is, or just to discover a spiritual grounding that you need, because this world will have you go crazy. And if you get lost in the way of the world, you will go crazy. And so God is my peace and my comfort, and literally my strong tower in the midst of things that I go through in my life where I can't make sense of it. I can't logic it out. I can't explain it, and I can't do right, or everything I do is wrong. God gives a certain level of security and protection and guidance that I've looked all over. Literally, the song says I've searched all over, can't find nobody greater than God. And that's just me. And I will never push my Jesus on people. I will never push Jesus on people. He never pushed himself on anybody. So to kind of wrap that up, that's what it was. I was in spiritual warfare, and my baptism experience, honestly, for people that are wondering, like, did you get out the water and then like all this stuff, glory of heaven just started opening? I'm not going to say that that's the case, but I will say is I feel like a part of me is open consistently now since my baptism to God, to his communication, to his intervention. And I'm not perfect. I have my vices. I have my habits. I'm human. So it's really God just, me asking God every day to make myself as available as he needs me to be for whatever work that he has in me, that he wants me to do for the day. And even if it's just me being present and saying thank you to him, to being able to be alive, that's all I need. So that's essentially it. I'm grateful to be alive, and I'm reminded every day that as long as I'm still here, God still has a purpose for me. And that's not just for me. That's for you too. So if you're listening to this and the sound of my voice and you ever question what your purpose is, or if you even have one, every day that you wake up, every day that your lungs fill with oxygen and your heart pumps blood through your body, every day you are still alive, there is still a purpose for you to do. There is still something for you to do. And it doesn't matter when you figure out your purpose. It could take you 70 years. It could be you figure it out at 3 years old. When you find your purpose and you actually discover what you're supposed to do, who you are here, and what your point is being here, things start to line up and click. Not that they're perfect, not that everything is without fault or comes, wrapped in a golden bow and it's under a Christmas tree that exists all year round. That's not God. God is not like that. But as things start to line up, everything makes sense. So I'm grateful to God. I'm thankful. I'm thankful for the process that I'm even in right now, and that the process that will continue until he calls me home. So we praise him. And we are now moving on to our auntie report, because there are some things I want to talk about, and I don't want to really keep y'all too long today. I promise I don't, because I have multiple episodes I actually want to pump out. So this one isn't going to be too long, but I promise y'all there is content on the way. So it is time for your auntie report. Y'all, I have to get an actual theme song for that at this point. It's ridiculous. Y'all probably sick of my little dun, 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 but I'm not yet. So anyways, our first order of business that we are discussing today is that Howard University, one of the HBCUs of our lovely country, has decided to name their College of Fine Arts after Chadwick Boseman, the late, great, beloved Chadwick Boseman. And it was announced in an article, I want to say this came out about a week ago, that Howard University's newly reestablished College of Fine Arts will have Chadwick Boseman's name attached to the program in an enduring way. The article goes on to say that the late Black Panther actor, who was an alum of the HBCU, will have his legacy live on at the Chadwick A. Boseman College of Fine Arts. According to Good Morning America, after Boseman Boseman returned to the campus in 2018 as the commencement speaker at graduation. He discussed with Howard University's president, Wayne A.I. Frederick, a reestablishment of the Fine Arts College. The quote goes on to say from the president, Mr. Frederick, he said that in regard to Chadwick, he was filled with ideas and plans to support the effort in a powerful way. Chadwick's love for Howard University was sincere, and although he did not live to see those plans through to fruition, it is my honor to ensure his legacy lives on through the Chadwick A. Boseman College of Fine Arts with the support of his wife, Taylor Simone Ledward, and the Chadwick Boseman Foundation. The article completes itself by saying, talking about Chadwick and Mr. Boseman, about his basically his legacy there and his legacy outside of Howard. Says that he graduated from the esteemed university in 2000. He went on to become a successful actor, and we know, of course, this is our King T'Challa, our king, our definite loved king. And of course, Black Panther. He also starred in Jackie Robinson, the movie 42, and also the James Brown film Get Up On It. And if you haven't had a chance to watch the Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, which is available on Netflix, you absolutely need to. And I had no idea that he was nominated for an Oscar because of this role, and it's an absolute beautiful movie. I mean, if you get a chance to watch it and, go in depth about it and take a time to really accept it and just absorb it. It's a beautiful film. And I adore Viola Davis. I absolutely adore Viola Davis. So yeah, I am totally, totally here for this. And rest in peace, rest in power to Mr. Chadwick Boseman. He will never be forgotten. And the article completes by saying he died at the age of 43 on August 28, 2020, following a private 4-year battle with colon cancer. So this is also a reminder to everybody, be kind to people. You never know what someone's dealing with. You never know what someone's family may be going through. And sometimes you are the only bit of kindness someone may encounter in a day. And that has nothing, I don't want people to be like, oh, it's because you with God. No, if you know me, before I even announce to the world, I've always announced to the world my faith and who I walk with. But, a big portion of it is, doing nice things for people, showing love to other people through kind actions and simple things. So, I just saw a video of this black couple. Hold on, y'all. Of this black couple that was going around Target, and they were leaving different Target stores, and they were leaving money in different baby items, in the Similac case, or under the lids of the Similac formula, or different formulas in the boxes of Pampers and wipes and stuff, because they understood that when they first became parents, it was extremely hard to be a parent. And with COVID and everything else, the smallest thing is a blessing, and you never know what a blessing looks like to somebody if you don't know their situation. So that's just that. But I applaud Howard University for showing homage to Mr. Boseman. We appreciate their diligence and the honoring of, his legacy as well, because it did start, he got his push from Howard. So it's only right that they honor and give him homage as well. So that's that. Next up on the Auntie Report, I know outside is open, and, I'm here for having a good time and taking trips and everything, but I got a lot of questions for y'all that's in these airports and on these flights and abusing these people that are literally there to keep you safe. While you fly, okay, when you in the air, your flight attendant is your emergency contact. That is your point of contact. If some shit go down in the air, you are looking at the flight attendant, okay? You're not looking for the captain. You're not looking at the person sitting next to you. You're looking at the flight attendant who is literally there to serve you and to keep you safe while you're in the air. 30,000 fucking feet in the air. So this article that I'm about to read to y'all, I want y'all to understand, as someone that has been traveling since I was 5 years old, and at one point in time in my life wanted to be a flight attendant, I have an issue with fellow passengers and consumers being so I don't understand, but this is people. This is people. So an article came out. I want to say this is through CBS. Yes, CBS, talking about how flight attendants' bloody assault by a passenger is a part of a disturbing trend. So the article talks about a Southwest Airlines flight attendant who lost 2 teeth after she was physically assaulted by a passenger on Sunday is among the more egregious examples of an unsettling increase in unruly and dangerous behavior on the part of air travelers. The article talks and says that there were 407, let me just slow this down. There were 477 passenger misconduct incidents on Southwest flights between April 8th and May 15th. That's less than a full count. That's a full calendar month and some change. And in a full calendar month and some change, they had almost 500 incident reports of passenger misconduct. I'm not understanding. And I'm curious to know if all this misconduct became more of a thing because of the mask mandate. Like, I feel like human beings, we are extremely rebellious. I don't know how else to put it. We are a naturally rebellious people because I don't understand why it's so complicated and where all these, you're trampling on my rights of my body. If this is to protect everybody, and maybe, that's slightly communistic to think in a community sense that what benefits all of us, what benefits one benefits all of us. But at the same token, like, this is a situation where nobody's trying to impede on your rights as a fucking person. Just wear the damn mask. So my question is, are these incidents becoming more popular simply because people don't want to wear their masks and follow instructions? The article goes on to talk about, a spokesperson says from Southwest that our reports indicate that a passenger physically assaulted a flight attendant upon landing on flight number 700 from Sacramento to San Diego Sunday morning. The passenger repeatedly ignored standard in-flight instructions. So before I even read the rest of the quote, the passenger repeatedly ignored standard in-flight instructions and became verbally and physically abusive upon landing. Law enforcement officials were requested to meet the flight upon arrival, and the passenger was taken into custody. The article says, and then I'm going to go back to this. The article says, a woman who shared a video of police officers escorting a woman from the aircraft said the flight attendant told a passenger to keep her seatbelt fastened while the plane was still moving, with the passenger responding by punching her in the head. So real quick, like I told y'all, I've been traveling since I was 5 years old. When I started to travel by myself, I stopped automatically getting up. Like, you learn. It takes a while, maybe some people slow. And I feel like I rode the little yellow bus some days. So maybe some people are just slow. But it takes a while for you to learn that you don't get up as soon as the plane lands, or you don't get up as soon as the plane reaches the gate and they start the onboarding process. Because it takes an additional 10-15 minutes just for them to get the plane ready to start getting passengers off. Like, they got to do the doors. They got to get the little fucking, the shit, like the gate, if they got to get stairs for you. Like, there's an entire thing. So it doesn't make any sense for you to get up while the plane is still technically in motion. And the reality is, while you are in flight, either way, while the plane is moving, you are to follow the instructions of the flight attendants. When the plane is about to take off, the fasten your seatbelt sign turns on as soon as the tires start rolling on the runway. When the plane lands, as soon as the tires hit and they are still rolling until they get to the gate, the fasten your seatbelt sign is still on. Why? Because for safety reasons, you cannot be out of your seat. Flight attendants are doing standard procedures. They're doing standard things. Like, this is the part that blows my shit. I don't understand why you're rejecting. Like, this person was already, as the article said, ignoring standard in-flight instructions. So I'm curious as to know if she was ignoring other things that the instructors, that the flight attendants were saying. If she was also just doing whatever she wanted to do. And these are the kind of people that get in their minds, because I paid, or because I'm giving my money, or because I supplied my money, that there's some level of entitlement or respect that they should have above everybody else. And it's like, in certain situations, you're no better than anybody. And baby girl, you in coach. So you definitely not get no special treatment, because your ticket is definitely the same amount of money that somebody else could get, and it don't make you special. You understand what I'm saying? So, sis, you not wanting to follow instructions, I don't understand. The part that pisses me off is, why was the reaction physical violence? Why did this lady decide to wake up and choose violence as somebody that's at their job? Like, that flight attendant lady was on her post at her job. She wasn't out and about causing ruckus. She was doing her job, literally keeping this woman safe, doing her job, and she gets punched in the head. The article keeps talking about how this incident came a day before the Federal Aviation Administration. So the FAA is in control of everything regarding airlines, airplanes, air travel, everything. They set the rules, they set the regulations, they set the punishments, all that good stuff. And it says that they find a passenger. Get this, so y'all can understand that these white folk ain't playing with y'all. These white folk in power of these airlines is not playing with y'all. Whether you a white passenger or a black passenger, it don't matter. These white men in control, y'all not gonna keep messing with their employees. Like, y'all starting to piss the white men, the rich white men off. 477 incident reports in a month and some change, ridiculous. But it says how the FAA fined a passenger $52,500 for trying to open the cockpit door. I'm pretty sure that's probably a felony, especially if the plane was in flight. For trying to open the cockpit door and hit a flight attendant in the face twice on a Delta Airlines flight in late December. So this is definitely not just a Southwest Airlines problem. That validated that. I thought it was for a second, but it definitely didn't. And there's other situations where, like, the FAA is really cracking down on people, on passengers that are bugging out. Like, the agency is also seeking a $27,000 fine against a passenger who allegedly threatened to kill someone and claimed to have access to a bomb on January 1st, 2020 flight, Southwest flight from Phoenix to Chicago. That's the same thing like saying, well, not the same thing, but more, dramatic if you were to say, like, fire in like scream out fire in a closed building like a movie theater. That's against the law. You cannot do that because it incites panic and it may incite a riot, and people can get damaged if you just say fire, fire, or shooter, or gun. Like, if you just say these trigger words, it causes everybody's alert to go up. If any word is a trigger word, bomb, gun, kill, these put in, it automatically put into the human mind, I have to protect myself from whatever this danger could be. So everybody goes on high alert, and because of high alert, and when humans are packed in together and they are high alert or anxious, most of the time we panic. So you cannot say things like bomb and everything else, especially on a fucking airline. Like, on a plane in the air, bro, they not playing them games. We done been there, done that with the terrorist situation. We don't need a rerun. Okay? So the FAA goes on to say that they have received about 2,500 reports of unruly passenger behavior and 1,900 reports of passengers refusing to wear masks in defiance of a federal mandate. I said it. Just want to be rebellious. I said it. Yeah. So the end of the article says that the flying public needs to understand that egregious behavior will result in being banned from flying with Southwest. No passenger should be removed from one flight only to be permitted to board the very next flight after a non-compliance incident. Do not get me wrong. When I was doing YouTube videos, and I'm not stepping away from it totally, but when I was doing a lot of YouTube videos and I was doing a lot of reactionary commentary, I remember watching videos of people doing stupid stuff on an airplane. I mean, this one really racist dude who he was going from flight to flight, like in Jamaica, like from Jamaica to New York or whatever, but in heavily populated areas of people of color. And I mean, being absolutely just disgusting with what he was saying out of his mouth on a plane towards black women, towards black people. I mean, acting like an absolute buffoon. And they removed him from one flight just to put him on another flight where he did the same thing. And they had to do, no, you do not get the right. Eventually, they banned him for flying with that airline, but you cannot, you know what I mean? Like, there are serious consequences. People cannot just do whatever they want to do and think that they're above the law, above correction, above reproach. It doesn't work like that. This is not the world we live in. We live in a world of free will and consequence. That's the world we live in. We live in a world where you can do whatever you want. You can do absolutely anything you want, and there are consequences, good or bad. There's always a consequence. So moving on to the rest of our auntie report. This is something that, I didn't want to touch with a 10-foot pole, and I don't think I really talked about on the channel, on the pod. I don't think I talked about it because I don't think I had a chance to, and all this stuff really came out last month in May. But Portia Williams. Let's just start there. Portia. From a totally non-judging lens, I'm praying for sis. I gotta pray for her because I don't understand what she's doing. And it's not for me to understand this is this woman's life, you know what I mean? But as in the fleshly world and from my side, I'm looking at her sideways because if we know about this whole, and I don't know who don't know about this Portia Williams situation, and Simon Gubadia and what's the girl name? What was the wife name? Fallon? I don't know her name. I can't remember her name. But essentially, the Real Housewives of Atlanta wife, Portia Williams, came out sometime last month that she is not only just together with a friend of the show's ex-husband or separated husband, Simon Gubadia, but that she's also engaged to this man. So in the spirit of her also being engaged to this man, just to kind of follow up, because we already know that's about as trifling as it could potentially get, an article came out on the 31st of May where Portia says, she gets a tattoo of fiance Simon Gubadia's name on her neck. Now, I pulled this article, I believe, from Madame Noir, so you can definitely go up there and read it. But before I get into the actual article, I just want to point out that back in the day, I was raised with the ideology and the mindset that you do not put nobody's name on your body. If you're going to put somebody's name on your body, it should be someone that's passed, or it should be somebody permanent to you, like your children or your family. It should never be somebody you in a relationship with, somebody that got you hot in the pants, because that's not guaranteed. Even a ring is not permanent, but a tattoo is. So when I saw this article, Portia Williams has a 2-year-old daughter with her first fiance, Dennis, I think that was his name. And I don't judge women. I do my best to not judge women, and I do my best to not judge mothers, especially not being a mother. But I do question these same women that then go on to say about the kind of influence and the role model that they're setting for their daughters, and they're not paying attention to the things that you're doing, like that they're doing in their adult life, and what that looks like, what that might translate to their kid. Because, for her daughter, not for nothing, but like, mommy, you went and got a tattoo of a man that's not my father. And you were engaged to daddy and y'all just couldn't figure it out. Y'all couldn't work it out. But now you getting a tattoo of this man. Like, that's two permanencies. You know what I mean? Like, she already permanently tied to Dennis because of her child. And now she's permanently, if he don't get again, it don't matter if Simon get a tattoo or not. And I can't see this old African man going out and getting a tattoo of Portia on his fucking neck. I don't get it. So let me just read the article. So the article says their love will last forever, right? Portia Williams revealed over the weekend that she got fiance Simon Gubadia's name tattooed on her neck. The Real Housewives of Atlanta star 39 dropped the bombshell on Saturday's episode of Dish Nation, telling her co-stars, "I got a tattoo. I think it's a great way to show when you love someone." Miss Williams, all due respect, that is the most juvenile opinion I have ever heard of somebody in 2021 at 39 years old with a fucking 2-year-old child, that is one of the best ways you can show somebody you love them. You ain't got to show nobody you love them by putting their name on your body. Jesus showed us he loved us by dying for us. And you're not going to meet a man on this earth that's actually going to die for you. People are not going to do that. And if they do, there's something wrong with them, because no person is willing to sacrifice themselves, especially if it's not your child or someone of your family. That kind of love don't exist in humans, I feel like. So, sitting here talking about I think it's a great way to show you love somebody. You could have did that in a lot of ways. You could have did that in a whole lot of ways, because as the article goes on to say, she added, "I got my fiance's middle name tattooed on my neck. Sherry Shepard, who began the conversation by joking that her son wouldn't care if she got a tattoo in his honor, asked Williams why she chose her neck, and she responded that it don't hurt. She could have got the shit on her ankle. Why? You could have got it anywhere. Why'd you get it on your neck? You could have got it anywhere. And this is just somebody that I have about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 tattoos. 3 of them are extremely large. One of them is my grandmother's name, and the biggest tattoo that I actually have is across my back, and it's my zodiac sign, which I got when I was 16 years old. If I knew then what I know now, I would have got that same tattoo in another place, because why is it there? Like, why is it on your neck? That's somewhere, like, even when I see people that got their face tattooed, I be questioning, why do you have a tattoo on your face? Like, you can show people you love your tattoos and you love yourself without tattooing up your face where somebody might see it, or where there might be, potential backlash or potential consequence. You feel me? But that's just me. Anyway, Williams and Gubadia announced their engagement on May 10th after they had been dating for a month. The groom-to-be was previously married to Williams' friend, Fallon Gubadia. Now, Portia... And I'm not a friend of the show. I'm not a fan of the show. I don't watch Real Housewives of Atlanta. I really only watch it for certain topics I feel like might be relevant to conversation that we may be able to have, or it's a culture, like, a transformative conversation. So I don't really pay attention to the show. But I do know that Portia has a very strong habit of getting in relationships fast. She loves hard. She loves fast. She loves deep. And this is not the first time that she's shown up with a fiance after very small time frame, it looks like, to the public, of knowing them, being with them, or even what she admits to dating them. Case in point, Dennis. I think it was a similar situation to Dennis, where she didn't know Dennis that long, but they were madly in love and engaged, and she was just on this super duper high of being in love, and she gets pregnant, and now all these other issues come out. And it's like, well, you didn't actually know this man well enough to sign your life away to him. He wasn't around enough that you got to see him in various seasons of his life where you would have needed to, hold on, y'all. Where she would have needed to see him in various seasons of his life to actually know, is this somebody I want to deal with? Do I like how he is when he doesn't have money? Or do I like how he is, or can I deal with him, or can I support him when he's going through things with his family, when things aren't all copacetic and coochie crunch? So I strongly, ever since I started watching, Real Housewives, at least something I noticed about Portia was that she gets into relationships very deeply, very fast. And in this situation with Simon Gubadia, word on the street, she's saying they wasn't friends. Fallon is saying they was friends. Either way, you met this woman, you met this woman's husband, at her house, regardless of whatever business dealings that the father of your child and Simon had. I don't understand how you go from being friends to his wife, being friends with his wife, bringing his wife onto a show. I don't know how you go from that to now being engaged to her ex-husband. And I remember I watch a lot of commentary channels, y'all. And I remember watching something on YouTube. Somebody was like, how just in January of this year, Simon made this long ass post on Facebook, praising Fallon and showing his love for her and why he loves her and why they still been married all these years. And that was just in January. And then they come out in, what was that, April, May, talking about they've been together for a month. And Fallon responds, coming out, talking about she just focusing on finalizing her divorce. So it's like, how in the hell in 4 months does this man go from praising his wife and showing all this love to his wife to now being newly engaged to you? Of course, anybody with sense and eyeballs is going to know, well, obviously y'all didn't just start messing around and been together for a month. No, you don't get comfortable like that with nobody chummy to be posting pictures on social media in like a month. And my thing is, my real honest prayer is that this does not backfire on Portia. Excuse me, y'all. My real prayer is that this doesn't backfire on Portia, that if this man is who she's really supposed to be with, that it works out. But, I know God ain't gonna put you with nobody that already belonged to somebody. So, yeah, I'm a let that rock. But the article says that the reality star is currently planning 3 weddings to Gubadia. He's African, so we're going to have a native law and custom ceremony and a regular wedding, and then we're going to have another wedding at one of the houses that is out of the country. She explained on an earlier episode of Dish Nation. This will be Williams' second marriage, as she was previously married to Cordell Stewart from 2011 to 2013. Their marriage and subsequent divorce was discussed on The Bravo show. Williams was also engaged to Dennis McKinley, the father of her 2-year-old daughter, Pilar. So I remember seeing something on Instagram talking about the fact that, Simon got a lot of money. Like, Simon is worth a lot of money, like over $40 million. This man is worth a lot of money. And somebody had put on Instagram, sis is just simply, on her way up, just on her way up. And like, it's a come up for both of them. I don't know. I honestly don't know. I don't believe in messing around with nobody else's husband, nobody else's man. I believe there's enough men and wealth out here that we really don't have to share each other's men. But some women ain't all brought up the same. So yeah, moving on. So there's something I really do want to talk about outside of getting to our topic at hand. And y'all can hear my papers because I went old school with it, got some printouts. But Summer Walker, y'all gotta really, something is wrong with y'all. Like, something is wrong with people that obsess over celebrities. I think because I'm at a space where I can see the humanity in humans, no matter how famous or how much money that they have. Like, I can still see in my mind, Beyonce, she get her menstrual just like I do. She cramp just like I do. She shit just like I do. So she got money and she Beyonce, but she's still a woman, just like I am. So the degree of separation is far, but not that far and few between. And a lot of people with celebrities, they post their personal opinions on them like these grown-ass people are supposed to take heed to what you say. And in regard to Summer Walker, she recently became a new mom. And so I really don't have to hold y'all onto this because this came out, I believe I got this article from Madame Noir as well. But she became a new mom of a beautiful baby girl. And, she put up a picture. I believe it was 2 pictures. I think she put up one picture where there was like this different array of natural food, like hemp seed, hemp hearts, raw honey, and mushroom powder on a counter next to a blender and a baby bottle. And this led some people to believe that she was placing these items or she was going to feed this to her child instead of breast milk. Now, when you become a mother, you can decide everything regarding your child, how your child is nourished, how they're reared, how they're taught, what they're taught, everything. And I don't think it's fair to look at anybody else's mothering if that child is not in danger, if that child is not being hurt or harmed, that we should put up questions of, oh my God, what is she doing? Like, this is a multi-million-dollar woman. She is worth a lot of fucking money. I'm almost positive she has accurate child care, or I would pray that she has had accurate child care for her child. And in all honesty, when the picture came up about the baby, because they saw the baby and they looked at the baby leg and the baby was real skinny. My thing is, this baby knew, like, she just touched earth. And people, I don't know what people's assumptions are of babies, like how they put on weight, how they grow and all this other good stuff. But I used to have a friend who not 1, but 2 of her children had dietary issues from the moment they were born. Like, one of her sons literally is lactose intolerant and was intolerant to her breast milk. So she couldn't even breastfeed her own child if she wanted to because he was lactose intolerant. So he had to get, I think she had him on like a soy or like a special formula or whatever, like a special blend, so that he still got the nutrients that he needed that would have been found naturally in her breast milk, but he can't have them because his body can't process lactose. One of her other sons, they found out later, after figuring out when he got sick, that he had a soy allergy from his formula. Because he didn't like he took to the breast milk, but then she, like breasts, they dry up, okay? Or a mother, whatever her body is doing, if she doesn't have enough fluids or her body just stops producing milk. My old friend at the time, she stopped producing milk, and his body wasn't reacting very well to the regular formula that they normally give children, and it found out he has a soy allergy, and there was soy in the food. So they had to totally adjust it. But once they adjusted both of their children, because she has 3 in total, but both for the boys, once they adjusted the baby's diet and they got them on what they needed, these boys put on weight like you wouldn't believe. And I mean, it didn't take long for them to put the weight on, maybe 2-3 months. And this is from, I'm not living in the house with them every day. So when I come around, I'm like, oh snap, look who's getting fat. Because it's only been like 2 weeks. What are you doing? And it's like, I'm just feeding him what he eat, what he like. I feel like this baby, let's give her 6 months. Can we give her a chance to put on some weight on her body? And we also have to keep in mind genetics. Like, if her father tall and skinny, and her mother before her body got done was tall and skinny, then this baby gonna be lanky and skinny. That's what she gonna be. That's what she gonna look. She gonna look a little skinny. She gonna look a little weak around the ankles for a little bit, just because of her genetics, just because of how her body, even from infantry, how your body is going to break down food and where it's going to hold nutrients. All of that is biological. So I find it very, very disgusting that so many of her quote unquote fans were threatening, or people were threatening to call CPS on her. Child Protective Services is not an agency to play with. You understand? When a case is open against you, if that case is not closed out by the state properly, my grandmother worked for DIFAS for over 40 years. Like, God rest her, she's still alive, and she just retired. Like last year, 2 years ago, not even, she just retired. 40 plus years. That is not an agency you want to throw around and play like, oh, this child is being abused, because certain states don't play that. And I think California is one of those states that don't play that. So to Summer Walker, as a new mom, I'm not a mom. I'm giving so much grace and mercy to you, and I'm praying God, keep you and cover you. And she even put on, Facebook or Instagram that she's no longer going to post images of her child. And I don't blame her. You know what I mean? Like, y'all are vicious. And that's one of the reasons why, not to say nothing, but if I become famous, one of these days, and I'm somebody's celebrity or whatever, I promise you, that's not gonna work with me. That whole situation, it's not gonna work. So that's the end of your auntie report. I feel like, we covered some things. And with the last couple of minutes I have of y'all time before auntie lets you go and enjoy the rest of your day, of course, we have to talk about our auntie Monique and this whole bonnet scandal situation, honey, and all of this good stuff. So let me tell y'all real quick. I adore Monique. I always have adored her, from her Parker days to her Def Jam days to the Queens of Comedy days. I always have had a huge love and adoration and ultimate respect for Monique and what she's done and who she represents as a plus size woman, and her journey and her process that she's gone through over the last 15 years. That she's a totally different person, and that now I can revere and respect her as an elder. And as a woman in the community, in the Black community, that I feel that motherly auntie love from, and I can respect where she's coming from and her intentions and what she's saying. So I say all of that to preface talking about this issue, where she commented on the appearance of Black women in the airport from an experience she had. So she put on Instagram that she needed to talk to her babies. And this is an article that I believe I pulled from Source magazine, or I think I pulled it from Madame Noir, probably, because I love Madame Noir. But this article actually talks about what she said. Like, it breaks down what she actually said in her IGTV video. And in the video, she talks about, it took her a while to figure out what she wanted to say, because she wanted to come from a place of love and not from judgment. And she goes on to talk about, in her travels to Jacksonville, Mississippi, that going through the airport, she saw too many to tap and too many to address directly, of young sisters walking around the airport in bonnets, scarves, pajamas, slippers, so on and so forth. And she goes on to talk about and starts to question the idea of when did we lose pride in representing ourselves. Literally, she's quoted by saying, I've been seeing it not just at the airport, I've been seeing it at the store, at the mall. Monique said, adding, when did we lose our pride in representing ourselves? When did we slip away of let me make sure I'm presentable when I leave my home? Now, the beauty of the older generation of Black women and the older generation of Black people is that they are like a walkable living time capsule. They remind us of our roots. They remind us of our traditions, of our cultural traditions that kept us in a space of we respected ourselves, we respected each other. And a lot of that had to do with how we dressed and presented ourselves, because we did learn and we did come to grips with the fact that white America wanted us to present ourselves or forced us to make ourselves raggedy or ratchet or make us think that those things were okay and that we didn't have to be presentable when we left the house. Everybody else had to. So it became a cultural emphasis in our houses. And I can say this, even at 26 years old, emphasis that you leave the house presentable. You don't just walk outside looking like you just woke up, looking like you don't care. You walk outside looking like something, looking like somebody love you, essentially. And I mean, in the Black culture and culture, you might be able to sit outside and look at people and be like, ooh, why they walking outside dressed like that? Why they look like this? Why they look like that? And I never questioned, did they not have pride? Well, let me not lie. I have seen some people where I'm like, do they not care what they look like? So I understand where Auntie Monique is coming from. And to answer her question, I don't think it was a situation that there was a specific time where we decided to, quote unquote, slip away from the idea of making ourselves presentable when we leave the house. If I may offer something as a Black woman of this generation, as a Black millennial woman that has traveled, and like I said earlier, I've been traveling since I was 5 years old. I've never left out anywhere that I've gone and not been presentable. I understand running errands and just throwing on something and everything, but even with throwing on something, I'm not just throwing on something to just run out. Like, I might throw on an oversized hoodie, some baggy sweats, and if I'm running to the store and I'm coming right back in, it is what it is. I don't plan on being outside like that all day. I don't plan on having too many people see me all day. But at the same token, it's a certain level of comfortability that I feel and I can rest in walking outside how I feel comfortable. If I feel comfortable walking outside in a bonnet, in my robe, in my sweatpants or whatever, and I'm not really pressed about what anybody else got to think about me, because the pride I have in myself, and this is something that I wanted to address, the pride I have in myself, yes, can be reflected in my outfits and in what I wear and how I could, but more so, the pride in myself is in how I conduct myself, is in how I present myself to the world, how I show up. Not what I'm wearing, not any of that, but how I show up. If I take pride in who I am, I will take pride in everything else concerning me. So there was that whole, representation thing. And like I said, it's an old culture ideology of what you wear when you go out the house. For me, though, and I talked about this in the IG Live I want to say yesterday, but by the time y'all hear this, y'all could just go on my personal page. It's the Head Kid on the Corner on Instagram to watch this, where I addressed it. And I responded, like I'm responding now to Auntie Monique, with love and from an understanding as her niece, and maybe I'm just a clown. Maybe I can't fully grasp the seriousness of this, but I think Black women of this generation, millennials, we have come to a point where we are genuinely sick and tired of having to walk on eggshells in our own culture. We can't do anything without somebody saying something to us, without somebody questioning our identity, without somebody posing on us that we're having an identity crisis because this is how we choose to present ourselves and we show up comfortable. I think a lot of Black women, if I can say so myself, at least for me, I stopped caring about what other people thought about me because it was too damaging, too taxing, too much pressure to walk out the house every single day worried about what other people was going to think about what I got on my body, to the point where I wasn't even comfortable with what I was wearing because I was concerned about the impressions I would make on other people. Now, don't get me wrong. I know how to dress for the occasion. I know how to dress for the occasion. I know how to dress where I'm going. And for me, when I travel, I can go down in a bonnet and oversized hoodie and sweats and a blanket and look like I'm literally about to go to sleep. Because for me, at least in my traveling history, I'm always up on a red-eye flight. Those flights leave 5, 6 o'clock in the morning. You got to be at the airport 2-3 hours before your flight just to do check-in and screening and all that other good stuff. So that means you got to be out your house at least an hour and a half before you're supposed to be at the airport. So if my flight leaves at 5 in the morning, that means I have to be at the airport by about 2:15, 2:30 the latest, which means I got to be out of my house, depending on how far I live from the airport, if I want to get a snack or breakfast on the way, by 1 o'clock. I'm not about to sit here and be like, am I presentable to get on a fucking airplane at 1 in the morning? Am I comfortable? Do I have everything that I need to get through screening, to get through check-in? Do I have all the essential stuff? That's what I'm worried about. I'm not worried about being presentable. I'm worried about getting to the airport, praying for safe travels, and getting off the airport and getting off the plane. Now, for me, my last travels of years recent has been to the Virgin Islands. When you get to the airport, because there's only one airport in St. Thomas, right? So you get to St. Thomas. Soon as you get there, they don't have them tube ramp things that they connect to the door of the plane and you walk down and you get into the airport. No, baby. They got stairs that they put to the door of the airplane and you got to get out. And when you walk down them stairs, you are stepping into island heat. Do you think I'm about to stay through an extra hour? Because soon as you get on the runway, like soon as they get to, and this has happened so many times, it's pissed me off. Soon as we get on the runway and like they park up the plane, they turn the AC off. We be like, yo, it's hot. Like how you just gonna turn the AC off? You think I'm about to really sit in these clothes all day? Maybe it's me, but I know women I've traveled with, even my best friend. We always carry a change of clothes in our carry-on. Always. Without fail. We have to have a pair, and I mean down to accessories and shoes, change of clothes, okay? At the top of the carry-on. Because I know how I left the house wasn't all the way presentable, and now that I'm in a new location, now that I'm in a new situation, I need to get myself together. But that's a personal thing, and a bigger portion of a point I wanted to make, where she said was about what if you look like you don't give a damn, how do you think you're going to be treated? I don't think a bonnet and pajamas and a robe means that this person should be treated with any less respect or dignity than someone that decided to walk through the airport or walk through Walmart or walk through stores with jeans and a t-shirt and sneakers on. Because again, Auntie Monique, with all due respect, I have groomed, I have been trained, I have been reared, I have been broken, I have been built in this society that whether I have on a full-length dress that shows nothing of my figure, whether I have on an outfit that is quote-unquote presentable or appropriate, whether I'm naked, whether I'm in my bed, whether I have learned it does not matter what I look like for people to determine whether or not I get treated with dignity and respect. And it doesn't matter what I look like, whether or not I get treated with dignity and respect from my people or people outside of my community. Yes, it is true. Black men will probably get accosted more if they were to walk around in baggy pants and everything else compared to suits. But I've seen and we've seen black men and black women get arrested in their Sunday's best. A woman, a 65-year-old grandmother, 63-year-old grandmother, on her way to a funeral, in her best, pulled out the car and abused. On the side of the highway, in a skirt and a top. What do you mean if I look like I don't give a damn? If I look like I care, people think they got to go out of their way to mess up my outfit. If I look like I'm somebody or I take pride in myself, now I got people challenging me. Now I got people coming up to me asking me if I think I'm better than, just because I decided to quote unquote present myself in a better way than what I could have left the house. Yes, I understand there is housewear. Yes, I get it. There is loungewear. Yes, I get it. There are cute, affordable track suits and everything. I get that. But if we're not going to sit here and talk about the bigger picture that I don't know if the older generation understands or has totally grasped yet, that we have reached a point where, listen, people, we understand and we fully grasp and accept that people are going to think what they want to think about Black women, no matter what we wear, do, dress, act, work. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. And it doesn't matter if we give more of a damn than we look like we do. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if I'm an advocate for natural beauty and I'm walking around with a full beat, or I have never touched makeup a day in my life and I'm going for the same thing. I, as a Black woman, will get penalized either way it goes. And for me, Auntie Monique, with all due respect, I am sick and tired of our elders that continuously say, out of love and out of correction and all this other good stuff, all these, where's this coming from? Because even in her video, she's like, I'm not saying you don't have pride, but if people have to walk up to you and ask you, first of all, in all due respect, who the fuck is anybody to walk up to me and ask me if I have pride in myself based on what they see? You don't know me. You don't know my style. You don't know my comfortability. You have no idea who I am. And just because you deem something as inappropriate or not prideful or showing no representation has nothing to do with the reality of the person you're speaking to. And in her video, she said, if it's her and she out and she see a sister, looking a certain way, she's gonna approach and lovingly say whatever, And Auntie Monique, with all love and respect to you, if this same energy is not met towards Black men and what they get allowed to wear outside on the street, that for over 30 fucking years, nobody said anything to them or tried to make them feel bad for what they wear, and we just let them walk around wearing whatever they want to wear, but Black women got to be so worried about our pride. And don't get me wrong. I know the conversation is happening and I know the conversation exists, but I'm confused as to why Black women are always met with the most responsibility to correct the culture, to protect the culture. We're the ones, all the responsibility is put on us. We represent everybody. No, fuck that. I'm a Black woman. If I want to travel at my most comfortable and at what I feel is my most beautiful, because a bonnet is not a barrier to my beauty. It's not me purposely hiding myself. It's me comfortable. What's the difference between a bonnet and a half, a wig, a hat? You understand what I'm saying? A head covering is a head covering. No, I can't comb my hair, Auntie. I cannot comb my hair because my hair is in a protective style that cost me $400 and it is long to my ass. And so, no, I can't have my hair out in the airport because this style I have to protect. So I'm going to wear my bonnet. No, Auntie, I'm not about to sit out here and comb my natural hair because I got a short haircut and I got a do-rag on and I got to keep my waves fresh. So I'm going to walk through the airport with a do-rag and a hat on. I'm going to walk through the airport with a bonnet and so on and so forth because I have so much, this is the real tea, and I'm going to end on this one. I have so much pride in myself that I will not allow anyone to see me in a condition that I do not give them permission. So the fact that you see me in a bonnet and pajamas and slippers, I'm letting you know I have enough pride in myself that I can sit here comfortably feeling like the baddest being to ever walk around and not think twice about it. The same way I would if I was sitting in a gown or appropriate loungewear, according to your standards and to you. But no, absolutely not. So y'all, that is really all today with all love and due respect. Hold on. There we go. With all love and due respect to Auntie Monique, I say with all love. But as a black millennial, one of your black millennial nieces, this ain't that. And it's not a black thing to wear a bonnet. Because truth be told, if we really want to talk about appropriateness and what people should be wearing in public, we and bonnets, I'm pretty sure while you was at that airport, you saw a lot more shit that needed to be addressed that had nothing to do with black women. I'm just saying. But what do y'all think? Let me know. Of course, you already know. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and follow the podcast at The Young Aunties Podcast on Instagram. Make sure you follow and subscribe, of course, on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. We're definitely there. And I think I'm on Google Podcasts. I'm not too sure. I'll look into that. And if you have anything you want to say, okay, make sure you hit Auntie up, slide at Auntie DMs. Feel free to bug me because y'all know I love it when my niece and nephew say what's up. So y'all, until next time, I love y'all. I will talk to y'all later. Deuces. Have a blessed day, kids.